My name is Leigh Anderson. I'm a member of the Vintage Racing Club of BC. I've been a member of the club for 34 years and been president several times. Have always been active in the club, and basically what we do is we restore and we race vintage cars. Race cars, production cars. In a lot of cases, we'll take a vintage car and a production car and turn it into a race car. This car here is 1967 BMW 1600. It was one of the first issues of this body style. Started out as a production car, and in 1990 it was converted to a race car by a BMW dealership in Denver, Colorado. And I bought the car. Basically, it looked like this. I've done a fair amount of improvements to it, but it had been raced down in Colorado for several years, and I bought it about 5 or 6 years ago. There's no interior in it. There's no, all of the mechanisms in the doors has been removed and replaced with an aluminum panel. The entire interior has been stripped. The glass, except for the windshield, has been removed and replaced with plexiglass. Got a high compression race engine in it. The compression is 12.5 to 1, so it has to use a very high octane fuel. I use 110 octane that I purchase down in the States. This is the battery cut off. If you're in an incident, you want to have the track workers able to turn off all the power. That's how they do that. It's got a 5-speed closed ratio gearbox in it, which is coveted for racing. We have to ensure that the interior contains a dashboard. It can be modified a little bit, but it has to have a dashboard in it.
That's been modified substantially, right?
Not much.
Really?
Yeah, it's had a lot removed from it, and I've got basic gauges in it, which I, replaced the originals with gauges that are a little easier to read, and there are no idiot lights on it, and that sort of thing.
Right.
This is a wink mirror. It gives you, let's see, I guess it'd be about 180 degrees vision, so you can see out the side and the back at the same time.
Well, that's great. Something all cars should have.
Yeah.
You can't drive this on the street, or can you?
I can't drive it on the street because it has no lights. It doesn't have any directional signals or anything like that.
Okay.
But some of them do. You can drive it on the street with a roll cage. I mean.
Okay. You can drive it on the street gutted and with a roll cage as long as you have the proper.
As long as you have all the other, you'd have to have lights and.
Yeah.
I presume, I don't know about windows and stuff like that.
Do you have a horn?
No.
And
there's no emergency brake, no hand brake.
Oh, okay. So
that's the ignition system. That's high output.
No handbrake. So when you park this thing on a slight incline, you're just putting it in gear.
Yeah, I usually block the wheels.
Okay. Great. And this is how heavy is this now? Seeing that this interior has been gutted, how much more lightweight is it now than when it was stock and new?
I can't remember the exact weight, but this car weighs, without me in it, 1,850 pounds. I think the production model was somewhere around 2,400, somewhere around there, I think.
And the reason it's been gutted like this is to save weight, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
The power to weight ratio is what you look for, is least weight, most power. The engine started out as a stock BMW 1600 engine, but it's had a lot of work on it, a lot of machining, balancing. It's got slight overbore. It's got a high compression head, It's got a racing cam. It's had some of the heater connections removed and some fabrication done to basically make it minimal, because all we care about in racing is that it puts out the best performance and the highest horsepower. So there's a lot of things you don't need. You don't need a heater because you're removing all that stuff to reduce weight.
It has two carburetors.
It has dual Weber 40 DCOE carburetors on it. It came with stock I think there were Solex single downdraft carburetors. This one has dual side draft 40 millimeter carburetors. It has a bigger rad because the original rad didn't provide enough cooling. Because this engine is running most of the time at 74 to 7,500 RPM. I have a rev limiter on it that I've set at 75, and I usually run it right up to the max all the time.
Was it a fast car to begin with? I mean, stock?
I think they were underrated. They were reasonably fast to begin with. I think the top speed was around 100 miles an hour. I think it took a long time for vintage racers, pardon me, for vintage racers to actually catch on to the fact that these are really good handling cars. They have four-wheel independent suspension, which was unusual in those days. The fellow that built this engine said it's basically bulletproof, which is another reason why I wanted to get a BMW.
Top speed on this thing?
I don't know. There's no I guess it's about over 100 miles an hour, but I don't know because there's no speedometer on it.
But it gets there quick.
Oh yeah, it does. That's the main thing.